Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings in the YouTube Atheist Community. And that's about it. Anyway, in the garden is so much rain. This stuff is all been rained on. Too much rain. Anyway, and I'm deaf now. I can't hear. This is my swimmer's ear problem. Anyway, I'm just not going away this time for whatever reason. Anyway, not your problem. But it is almost getting, like, there's almost flowers. They're kind of lame and weak yet, but something's happening. Windy, sorry. So, haven't made too many videos, so that's good, I suppose. But I'll sort of make one in this video eventually. Just get to a couple of things, I suppose. Nothing hugely interesting, I don't think. There was something that happened, and I said, oh, I have to remember that, but I'm not going to remember it. Old fan and Vlogger Dome, that has to get done. The last episode on Ephilism, antinatalism, whatnot. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be another thrown together desperation episode, but we'll see. I'm perfectly satisfied that Blogger Dome has accomplished its task, which is to make arguments for certain positions on mostly subjects that are important. Sorry. Just seeing if I get rid of this echo in my head. I can only hear myself in my head. So, yeah, it's really annoying. Thought it would have gotten better by now. I mean, I really did. It was better yesterday. Anyway. So she's running a contest for make your first video, declaring you're not too enthusiastic about this whole life game thing. You figured out it's nothing to be too enthusiastic about. Has a lot of gnarly bits. So that's the video I'll respond to, is Anticontabody. Did another video just trivializing pain. That, oh well, you're just all silly people because it's just so obvious. This is really easy to ignore. Spock did it like dozens of times, and Buddha guys all the time totally don't feel pain. It's not that they're disciplined themselves not to react to it. No, they don't feel it at all. I'm sure. Positive, almost certainly, maybe. Anyway, just nonsense. So then there was some vegan news, Beyonce or something, a bunch of trivial conversation, and Carrie McCarpet did a video on that, and some other thing. Yeah, so like vegan ice cream or something, which is, part of this whole thing about it's like it's some sort of horrible chore, and I guess that's what I'm going to sort of be arguing here is Anaconda is making this whole convoluted argument about how we can ignore pain and suffering, and wouldn't it be a lot easier just to ignore ambition and trivial addictions? I mean, those are pretty easy. Though, if there's something we can mind over matter, our silly ambitions, because most of them are, frankly, silly, and I think you know it. I mean, unlike you, I am going to do something incredibly famous thing. I'm going to do the whole Einstein unification thing. I'm going to be hugely famous and blah, 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 blah. But aspiring to be such is trivial and silly. I mean, it's good for the one's ego. It's good to have delusions like I'm going to be a porn star, I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be that, I'm wonderful, I'm beautiful. And okay, that's a good way to get through life, but it just keeps you in the game. It just keeps you saying, oh, any day now, everybody's going to recognize how wonderful I am, and things will be really cool, and then what? Then you'll die of cancer. And at minimum you'll get old, which is really stupid. Part of the problem I realized that why my earplugs might not be working is because I actually have hairs growing in my ear. Yeah, I was like, who knew? I never knew this shit happened. I didn't have nose hair till like a year ago. And I was like, what the fuck? There's hairs in my nose. There's fucking hair in my fucking ears. Fuck it. Enough reason right there. Say fuck this. So anyway, but yes, this whole ambition thing, the whole addiction thing, the whole, well, once you've jerked off 468,000 times, I mean, don't you really get the routine? I mean, even though you're still kind of in it in the moment, for those 2 or 3 minutes, it's pretty cool. Overall, you can kind of know this wanking thing doesn't go anywhere. Just makes me have to take a nap. Um, it is all kind of, the life formula does become apparent to you after a few irradiations of the game. You sort of get the idea. And I was talking about somebody with, because I used to watch some TV and I don't watch any anymore, but I mean, it's like even shows like Married with Children, South Park, and um, The Simpsons. And, that stuff, it had a lifespan, and then you kind of know what it's going to do. And you're just like, it's going to be predictably unpredictable. It's just going to do something to try to fool me just because it's desperate to do that, keep me interested. And so it's like the show doesn't fundamentally get bad or anything, but it just gets fundamentally too known, too common, too regular. And that's the mind over the matter thing when it comes to this whole passion bullshit and life and blah blah blah, is that it just doesn't hold any, you know. Cigarettes still do it for me, but that's a direct chemical thing, right to the brain. But it has to be pretty direct like that. I'm sure massages still do it for me. I'm sure lots of things I don't get would do it for me. But the overall principle of the for me and just finding a medication, to soothe the pain. That's another thing that just makes Anaconda's whole conversation so inane in a way. Is the human race in the last 2,000 years has come up with a million concoctions, just desperate efforts to try to come up with some way to mitigate against pain. Um, if it was just some mind over matter thing, they would have come across that a long time ago. Trust me. Um, Look at the energy. Look at the money that's spent on pain mitigation. To sit there and argue that, oh yeah, well they all just don't know this little secret trick where you just turn your brain off. Well, it's just, sorry. No sale. No evidence that the secret trick works or that you can bottle it or any of that crap. Just a silly conversation. The argument from, I love Star Trek, but I mean the argument from Star Trek is just a silly thing to do. You use Star Trek as, when it's when it's not the superhero stuff, when you're just trying to make a social commentary and you try to say, look, it's illustrated in this Star Trek episode, the black racism or some other kind of things. They had all those kind of social commentaries in there, but you don't use the superpowers from Star Trek as an example of what humans can aspire to be. Generally speaking, it's just silly. Mostly. Um, So anyway, the counter argument is for the anaconda types. And instead of you expecting me to use my mental superpowers to ignore my pain, um, I think it's much more reasonable for me to expect you to use a minor amount of intelligence to realize you aren't going to win the life game. Your your desire to put one more quarter in that one-armed bandit is going to last longer than your physical strength, your tolerance, all kinds of things. I mean, for many people, you have to admit that they do that dying thing where they actually say, kill me, kill me, kill me, and nobody does, and they're just tortured for a while. So that does happen to a lot of people. They ask for it way too late, and then nobody has the courage or the legal right or any of that stuff to help them out. And so they're just stuck, being patronized. It'll be all right. You'll be better tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a good day. Bullshit. So, I was thinking a lot this week, just doing my wanderings about, and based on some of the conversations that some people were having about animals not feeling and this and that and the other thing. I was just thinking about absolute brutality of what's out there. I was thinking about all those little frogs that were out here, right? There had to be literally millions of frogs. I was cutting the grass the other day. They were jumping all over the place. I mean, just millions of them in this acre or two area for some reason. And just the idea that each one of those little individual lives is only going to be a few days long, and they're going to be, basically eaten alive by a snake, or just a ton of garter snakes here now too. So I don't know whether those two things are coincidental or not, but they're everything I turn over, a snake pops out. Um, Fortunately, not in the house yet, just spiders and such. I got to do something about it. I've been so lazy about things because I just get away with it, and I've just been lucky there haven't been any bugs in the house. And it's just lately, there's spiders everywhere. Can't have that. But it's, fixing things does take some work. Is it still recording? Good. I just can't, I don't know if something pops off, I'm not going to hear it. Something pops off. Ow! Yeah, I'll do a Felix Unger thing. Oh, almost for a minute. Oh, yeah, so if I hold my nose and I can actually hear for a minute, but it goes away. It really should be better by now. But anyway, as things go, not the worst thing in the world. I got bit by another tick nymph, but hopefully it's not the end of the world. But the very fact that I can't seem to stop these little fuckers. I mean, I take a very hot shower every night and scrub my skin vigorously with many aggressive tools. I don't know, and I'm still not cutting it. So I think they're my shoes. I think they're just everywhere. And I just gotta, maybe gotta take 2 or 3 showers a day, which is just such a hassle. But anyway, whatever. Not your problem. So what else? I mean, it's just life. This bug thing, this whole insidious. Just on its face, it was one of those. It's one of those things. Every now and then it just becomes so clear, and you're just like, how the fuck can people not see this? I mean, yes, all this stuff is sort of interesting, and leaves move, and this does this, and it's wind blows, and it's sensual, and blah blah blah. But this is Terror Island Earth. I mean, it's just every. I mean, right now there's just this huge biosphere, and things with mouths eating things with anus and mouth, and everything's just going through something's GI tract all the time. I mean, it's really just a horrible idea, biological life. Um, just a terrible competition being played, for the grace of having your moment. Like these little flowers, they are really quite lovely. I don't know if you can see those close up enough, but they have their moment, and that's it. It's just their moment. And not that they're feeling it matters, but I just mean it's all these little things have a story. Every bee has a story. These little 40 days of obsessive collection, obsessive consumption. It's consume, 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 get, 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 get. Um, yeah, this is just an insidious, horrid, awful thing. Lots of these little variations on this theme, which is kind of nice. That was one success this year. Did get some pretty good crosses, and but my zinnias were kind of a failure so far. Getting way too many of these pinks. Pink, 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 magenta, pink, magenta. It's an okay. It's just not the color I'm looking for. I'm looking for the whites or the yellows or the oranges. And I don't know how I don't know how it happens every year. Somehow I always go pink, and I just, it's just, I don't know whether I messed my seeds up, I mixed them up. I know there was one of these magenta ones that was really good last year, big flower, big huge plant. So I said, oh, I better collect some of those seeds, even though I hate that color. Maybe I just mixed up my seeds, and all those other ones I planted, or something happened. I don't know what happened, but failure is what happened, which happens. But here's another. This is a nice one. Yeah, very nice. Anyway, but yeah, should be very nice back here in the month of July, flower-wise. Tomatoes are doing adequately, and we do have some other stuff planted and growing, but we don't know what it's going to do. Yeah, so, who knows? Might be a surprise, might not. This is one of the tomato gardens. Growing a cat on this chair. Trying it this year. Maybe I'll plant a cat on the chair and see if what happens. Tomatoes. Not too bad. These are just kind of not doing much. You know, how to figure out why. But anyway, let's see. Is there anything else? I know there's some people I miss. I'm missing. I know there was something else that was going on that I said I was supposed to mention. Oh yeah, that Logic Rolls the Dice guy did call into the atheist experience, but it wasn't with that Dunn and Lily Lee guy, some other douchebag. And he just argued this. It was kind of a silly thing, just because he's arguing for, like I said, the most aggressive ethical statement about reproduction in the context of professing he's a nihilist, and the fact that they didn't catch on to that part, which is the funniest part of his argument. I mean, they reacted to the, I think life is okay, they just did that counter argument, without recognizing that, well, where do you get your passion for something you don't believe is a real offense, that you don't think is really a harm? And you're stuck with that, with moral or ethical nihilism. You're stuck claiming that harm is an illusion. There is no such thing in reality. And this didn't work very well. Yeah. This thing, I keep tripping over it, but the net, I don't want to crush the planting. So I figured, okay, I'll tie this thing on there, and that'll solve the problem. Obviously didn't work. Just have to tie them all together or something. Excuse me while I tie them all together or something. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of things with wire this year. Wiring everything to everything. I think I'm going to wire up bushes into shades or something. Got a taste for it. I figured you can solve a lot of problems with just a little bit of wire. This whole deer thing, yeah, a little bit of wire can solve the problem. You just put wire and then throw some crappy netting on, and think it'll work. Well, it's working so far. I got my little stockade wire here. Full fence coverage now. I have my whole little playground in there. It's my little play. Protected from the deers. Anyway. So, sorry for the wind. And what else is there? I guess there's not much else. Oh man, my ears were doing better a few hours ago. Yeah, it's hard to. It's hard to have the normal thinking conversation. It's so distracting. Everything being muted. Anyway, not your problem. Well, apparently nothing seems to be most people's problem. Yeah, they don't seem to relate to the word very well. Everything is a lot of big problems here. So, yeah, the other reason I haven't made a lot of videos, I've been working a lot, so jobbing, doing lots of landscape kind of work, which is kind of fun. Pulling out stumps and wood chips, moving plants around and things, and that's kind of good. So anyway, my back held up, so I'm happy about that. And I think that'll be it. So till next time, and yeah, it's a lot easier to give up your desire, or to recognize your desire as frivolous and superficial, your ambitions than it is to pretend that you can just make pain go away. That it's not one of the most basic functions of our biology, as it's necessary to the whole motivational engine. Anyway, yeah, I did my job. Till next time. Say hi from the cat also. Santino, he's getting old.